Welcome back to Tony's Teaching Tips. Today's topic is alignment. I'm Tony Sindelar, a higher education instructional designer with many years of experience partnering with faculty and subject matter experts to create and improve teaching and learning. So today, alignment. What is it? Why are we talking about it? So the principle of alignment builds off of backward design, which I talked about in my previous video. In backward design, you define your goal, your methods for determining if your goal has been met by your learners, and then your instructional activities that are going to prepare students for meeting that goal. Using slightly different language, alignment looks at the balance between learning objectives, assessment strategies, and teaching and learning activities. Effectively, those three aspects that you're defining in the backward design process. Learning objectives are your goal. These are articulated, specific, measurable things that your students need to be able to do by the end of your instructional intervention. And ideally, they use student-facing language that your learners would be able to understand and comprehend. We'll talk more about how you define learning objectives in a future video. In a good course, these three items are in harmony. You've got a good goal, your learning objectives, you've got solid assessment strategies that measure that your goal has been met, and you select your teaching and learning activities appropriately to prepare students for those assessments. Now, a course that is out of alignment could show a variety of problems. A common issue I see is when a large number of students underperform on the assessment in a given course. You have a bunch of people unexpectedly fail the midterm or not get the grade you expect them to get on the midterm. When I see a problem like that, I immediately look for a potential disconnect between the teaching and learning activities and the assessment strategies. So let's talk about what that might look like if we're having issues with alignment in a course. Imagine a solidly designed course with regular multiple choice practice quizzes to check in with students that then culminates in a major paper that you ask them to write. Despite constant solid performance on those quizzes, the student is surprised at the low quality of the student papers that they hand in at the end of the semester. Many of them really miss the intent of that paper assignment and unfortunately might end up with a low grade for the course based on that high stakes assignment. An issue here might be with the lack of connection between those low-stakes practice quizzes and the high-stakes paper assessment. Nothing about the quiz is helping students prepare for that paper. Now, low-stakes quizzes are great. It's great that you're checking in with students and seeing what they know on a regular basis, but there might be more work needed to be done in the design of this course to strengthen the connection between those quizzes and the big paper they're going to have to write at the end of the course. If I was an instructional designer collaborating on that course, I might look at how could we strengthen that connection. Maybe I want to add one essay question to each of the weekly quizzes, or maybe I need to add additional steps to the paper that are going to happen beforehand. That's the principle of scaffolding, which we might talk about in more detail later. But there's a disconnect there between what we're trying to basically measure our students on and then what they then need to do at the end of the course. A harder challenge to diagnose and treat is one where your learning objectives aren't in alignment with your activities and your assessments. You can have a course plodding along relatively happily where teachers prepare students for the assessments and the results of the assessments are fine, but they're not linked to the desired objectives. With weak alignment like that, you might not actually really see a problem in terms of students aren't learning what they need to until a later course or even a high-stakes certification exam. Imagine two courses on research methodology. In one course, the students plan and conduct a mini research project that's going to help them learn what does doing research look like in their particular field. In another course, maybe they just take a quiz on what are good research methods and what is good practice when doing research. These courses might teach similar content and have the same learning objectives in terms of students are going to learn about doing research, but the course with the research project is giving them some substantial kind of hands-on higher level work versus the course where the students are just taking a quiz on what does research look like. One of these courses is probably out of line with the objectives. Either it's too high, they're doing more than they need to do in the course, or it's too low. Students are not actually learning and practicing what the skills that they're going to need down the line in the career or in their curriculum in a later course. So this would be a place where you'd need to go in and look at what's going on and what do students actually need to be able to do at the completion of the course so they can be successful later in the program, later in their career, or have you, and then how are we going to get them? These kinds of problems are a little bit harder to both diagnose and treat because they frequently span multiple courses. They're less encapsulated, but they're all important in terms of, is our course doing what we need it to do in the curriculum? Are we getting students where they need to be mentally, emotionally, and professionally? And how are we going to move them forward? So my reminder for all of you, whether you're teaching a course or working to support somebody else teaching a course, look at what your goal is, look at those learning objectives, and really take some time and look at, am I assessing what matters with my assignments and exams and what have you? And am I preparing students for what I need them to do with what I'm asking them to read, what we're doing in class, what we're talking about, and what I'm having them practice? I don't think you can get too much further with course design ideas without talking about what goes into good learning objectives. So that's going to be our topic for the next video. Bye for now.